Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brewing Business Show. This is a space dedicated to the craft beer industry and entrepreneurs who wants to learn more about mindset, health, wealth, business, and of course, beer. I'm your host, Pedro Meneses, and before we start, I just want to make sure you buckle up, crack open a cold one, and get ready to hear some life-changing information. Cheers. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 37 of the Brewing Business Show. If this is your first time, be sure to check out the previous episodes, and don't forget to leave me that review on iTunes so you can help more people to find the show. And our guest today is someone who got his, who actually started within the world of payment management, consulting, and operation at the age of 19. And what started out as a part-time job performing roadway condition assessment has turned into a 22-year career and passion for helping municipalities across the U.S. to save taxpayer dollars, maximize their annual budget, and increase the condition of the roadway networks. When he's not advocating for roadway preservation, he enjoys helping others in the constant pursuit of becoming the most elite version of themselves through his Good to Goalden podcasting, personal and group coaching initiative. And today, he's here to share his story, inspire us, and help us in our pursuit of greatness. So welcome to the show, James. It's a pleasure to have you here, brother.
Oh, man, thank you so much for having me. I'm pumped up. I saw this on my calendar this morning. Was like, hell yeah, let's go. It's gonna be a good day when I got Pedro on here and the podcast. So it's happening. I'm excited.
Yeah, man, I'm excited too. And like I said before we started, man, I wish we can be like face to face, grabbing a scotch, recording a podcast. That would be awesome, man. You know.
That's right, man. I miss some of those connections. Getting together in the meetups and I call it the bourbon and business stuff. But it's all good, man. It's in the afternoon. I got my water.
I got my water too. Well, we can pretend.
That'll boy. Yeah. We'll hit that scotch or something later tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's funny because when I recorded the first episode in this show, I did it with Thomas Keenan, and actually we did it at the BFA headquarters, and we were drinking beer while we're doing the episode. I was like, I wish I can do this with every single guest in my show.
Yeah. That'd be a great time, man, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But before we get into all the things that I'm sure you're gonna share, great things you're gonna share with us today, man. Tell us a little about your story, about your career, man. Because what I just for you guys know, for you guys watching or listening, I had a conversation with James several months ago, right before COVID, and it was interesting to learn more about all the things that he does in his company. And, all this payment stuff is like insanely crazy, everything that is behind this, that helps everybody, help us, especially when we're driving. But tell us a little about your story, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And I'll try not to bore your audience too much. Nothing too exciting, man. We're one of those businesses in the transportation industry, very niche, right? There's a book out there called Niche Down. We hear about the riches are in the niches and stuff like that. Right. And I'm kind of that story, man. So the long and short of it is, I'm the owner and founder of Pavement Management Group. We are a consulting engineering type firm in that type of space. I would like to tell people is I don't get dirty, man. I'm not out there paving roads. I'm not walking roads to that type of perspective. We're on the inspection, analyzation, condition assessment side of all this stuff, right?
Right.
When you think about your taxpayer dollars, right, and how much we're putting towards roadway conditions and things like that. Roadway maintenance and repair and things like that. For all of you out there listening, man, regardless of what city that you live in right now, usually the number one or number two line item in every city budget is roadway maintenance and repair. So think about that for a second. That's a shitload of money, right?
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is, when we look at, I think if you do a general poll, if you were talking here having beers or bourbons with your audience, right? How many people are just pumped up and excited to get in their cars every day and drive on these roadways? The answer is not too many. There's this outfit called the American Society of Civil Engineers, and every 4 years they come through and they kind of rate America's infrastructure. Roadways are a big part of that, right? And you may or may not be shocked to learn that they rate our road infrastructure a D. Now, I don't know about you, man, but when I got D's on my report card when I was young, it wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't good. I was your average C student, man. I just floated right above those D's because I didn't want to do all that work back then, to get the A's and B's. But the point is, if our infrastructure is at an average of a D, how much money are we throwing away every single year? So there's got to be a better way, right? So that's what we do at PNG. We have a standardized approach to collecting information so we can absolutely identify the right treatment to perform to the right pavement at the right time. So the easiest way to kind of put this out there is think about a financial advisor, right? You sit down day one with your financial advisor, whoever it is, and what do? They say, what are your hopes and dreams, Pedro? You want to have $1 million in the end, $20 million. What is it going to be? You want a boat? What do you want? Right.
Right.
That's what we do. We kind of take a look at where are we today from a road condition perspective? What's that benchmark? And what do we need to do to get here?
Right.
Because remember who runs our cities and our policy, holders, our decision makers. It's really like a city council, right? Or a board of commissioners. And it's all, a bunch of great men and women that are doing their public service, but they're not engineers. They don't understand roadway conditions and stuff like that. But they're tasked every year to kind of, through those line items and decide those budgets. So this is us collecting the information. We've got some great tech, some artificial intelligence. We're bringing online to some of that as well. Because the actual part of the job, man, is to take your city and break it down block by block, every single roadway, block by block, and tag all the attributes happening there. The length of the road, the width of the road, what was the last construction type that you did, or work history. Is it striped? Is it not striped? Is it curb and gutter? What about those ADA ramps? All this crap that costs millions of bucks, right?
Right.
So we itemize it so we understand it. And then from there, we go through a condition process, 0 to 100. Is this section a 50, a 60, a 70, an 80, all the way through there, right? Why is it a 50? Why is it a 60? Why has it failed? And we put all that stuff together in a data-driven and map-driven format through mapping. We use high-definition video, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
We give our users an online interactive map where they can click on a roadway segment, and it lights up a color, good, fair, poor. And then we can go right to that specific location and look at HD video right online. So you can imagine being in a city council meeting, instead of bitching and arguing about our council district, who deserves more funds, it's all itemized. It's all right in front of you, charts and graphs, accountability. And it's just really about maximizing that effort for the city, man. Big, long-winded answer, but that's what we're doing.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Yeah, I enjoy having this conversation with you all the time, because you're in an industry that not many people know about it. But when you start listening to what you have to say and all the things that you do, man, it's like, I want to go to work for you, man.
Come on down, man. We need more. With this artificial intelligence perspective, just kind of throw this out there. I recognize as a business owner, I've been doing this for 22 years underneath a civil engineer, like a mentor, which was great to have. And then I had an opportunity to start my own company about 10. I'll celebrate 10 years of business here in the next couple months, which is knock on wood, that's awesome. I'm,
congratulations
by that. But, the bottom line is, when I started this business, day one was, okay, I know how to work for myself. I know how to go outwork everybody in the room when they go do that. And then trying to build a company out of it was a whole new ballgame, right? How do you grow and scale this type of a thing? So growth is just doing a little bit more. Right? Get some people underneath you and train them, start putting systems in line and, things like that, operations. We got to that point about a year or two ago, and I said, well, shit, how do I scale this thing? So that's where this artificial intelligence component comes into play. So the largest task that we have to determine what is a good fit for a roadway, how long is it going to last, right? It's a condition. And to get that condition, we had to walk around the pavement years ago and document what's happening. There's a pothole, there's a rut, stuff like that. Well, we're doing all this machine learning right now, so it'll do all of itself. Here in about 6 to 12 months is our finalized timeline. Well, our operator, just like an Uber driver, they'll drive around with a GoPro, geolocated video, goes up into the cloud, the algorithm looks at it, studies it, and spits out the data. And we just throw that into our management system, man. So it's pretty cool stuff. We're excited about it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I like that. And, I remember that also in that conversation, we're talking about the economic impact that these have, and I remember that telling you, dude, I have no clue how a road can have an impact in everybody's pocket. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Just out of curiosity.
Absolutely, man. So when you think about a roadway, we absolutely take them for granted. All of us do, all around the world, let alone the United States. From the moment you step outside, take the pandemic out of the situation, right? A lot of us are forced to stay at home and shit like that. I get it. But when you take a look at from the moment you step outside of your doorway and you get into your vehicle, you're being carried by roadways to get to every single place that you need to get to, whether that's the grocery store, your place of business, for commerce, for schools, for everything, right?
Right.
So it's really the connection. It's the correlation between all of us in a country that holds us all together, right? It takes us everywhere we need to go. So when you start thinking about it from that position, it's like, well, shit, man, our roads are important, right? From that position, it's like, well, shit, man, our roads are important, right? Because it's like, man, they need to be maintained, they need to be taken care of. And the challenge has been over the last probably 3 decades now, when I look at the last 30 years, is we kind of got away from preservation, maintenance, preventive maintenance, and things like that. When we look at our vehicles, one of the greatest analogies I can throw out there, especially because we're in the apex land. We know our boy Stuman's got the Lamborghini. We love that thing. Those things on average about $250,000, right?
Yeah.
That's the cost. That's the average cost in the United States to repair 1 mile of roadway.
Wow.
$250,000. So all of a sudden, if you're a city, right? If you're your average American city that's got 100 miles of roadway, and it's about $250,000 to basically reconstruct it. 4 miles, that's the impact that you're having a year on $1 million budget. That's it.
Wow.
4%. So think about that. On average, we're only touching 3 to 5% of all the roadways in any given city at a time. That's not going to work, man. Now all of a sudden, right. So how do we fix that? We fix that by bringing back preventive maintenance strategies, pavement preservation, recycling, all these different things that have existed for 40, 50, 60 years, but get them back in play. And what we do is we organize all the data to tell the story in the right way to get everybody behind it. So.
Yeah, so you pretty much are saving all of us asses right now, man.
It took this long just to get the company to a position where we now have something that from a nationwide or even global perspective, we can now go sell. You know what I mean? So we're working on that initiative as we speak.
Absolutely, man. Now, and I was just changing gears a little bit because you mentioned something at the beginning and about the money is in the niches, right? Though the riches is in the niches, right?
Right.
Talk a little more about that because, man, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes all of us we have done as entrepreneurs and business owners. We try to focus and try to cover everything and try to bring everybody into our business or try to make business with the wrong people. One of the things that I always say to my clients is like stop looking to make business with everybody because not everybody is the right fit for you either, and you're gonna cost you more money to work with the wrong people that actually have wait to find the right people to work with. So tell us about how, because that's why the reason why you've been successful. You focus on one thing only, and that's why you are here 20 years later, right?
You're spot on, man. And we can't be all things to everyone. But as business owners, day one, if we don't have the right mentorship or that's why I'm a big proponent of mentorship and coaching. Too many small businesses or owners take the wrong approach and say, I don't need a coach, right? I'm going to spend my money on this piece of technology or that chat bot or whatever it is. No, man, you got to get your shit dialed in day one, right?
Right.
Who are you working for? What is that avatar for you? And I'll be honest with you, man, I didn't know. If you would have asked James Goalden 10 years ago when he started the company, who's your ideal client? Any city with roads, right? Wrong answer. Of course, any city that has roads could be a candidate for me. But it took me years to kind of niche down and figure out what the right approach is. Because like you said, but sometimes you got to get into it, right? You want to be able to niche down and understand your avatar very well. You want to be able to get rid of those clients that aren't in your sweet spot or ideal for you both ways. Because you want to create a good situation both ways, a win-win situation, right?
Right.
For me, I'm trying to create the win-win-win situation. I got to create it for myself, for my client, and for the taxpayer. That's how I look at it. Because I'm actually representing a community. And that's not every client, or every company that's like mine looks things that way. Right. But for every city I work with, I act as if I'm working for them. They're my client, right? All the taxpayers. But the point is, day one, you just have to get started. So let's say you sell insurance. I mean, that's a pretty big number. Everybody needs it, right?
Yeah.
Day one, you start selling all the products, right? You got to figure out what's working, what's not working. But that's the difference, is being able to audit yourself, measure yourself. And that's where those systems come into play. When you've got some systems behind it, you can measure it. Being a data head like myself and doing the roadway work, my biggest tagline is what can be measured can be improved. You have to have some form of a system to do that, especially if you're trying to niche down. So the long and short of it, it's extremely important. Even if someone who owns a pavement management consulting firm, that's already niche. But mark my words, I have my niches here on who's an ideal client for James and P&G at this time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's many different directions that I could go in. So the way we rate or evaluate pavements is to a specific international standard. There are probably 3 to 4 different ways to do what I do. And I collect data, right? I could have, and when I started my career, I said, hey, I can collect it any way you want it. Pedro, you want it this way, I'm gonna go do it. Kayla wants it that way, I'm gonna do it. Ryan wants it this way, I'm gonna do it. But it took me time to figure out what I was really good at, what the customer was really buying into, and I went all in on that approach 3 or 4 years ago. And that's right. That's kind of where I've gotten to today.
Yeah, which is a great example, man, because you're in an industry that, yeah, at the beginning you think like, okay, like you said, who's my perfect client? A city with roads, right? But then you figure out in such a narrow industry that there's still niches in your industry, and that pretty much applies to everything else. It's like, to the part of the audience in this podcast that is the craft beer industry, that I always tell the same thing. Like, you cannot advertise a lager with the same message that you want to try to advertise an IPA. There's completely different audiences. They have completely different tastes. So I think that's very, very powerful and a great example, man. Like no matter the industry you're in, you have to break it down to who is that person that you want to do business with.
Dude, that's right, man. And I'll be a little more specific just because of my situation, maybe help what I'm saying here. When I look at my ideal client is actually not the city of Dallas.
Right.
The city of Dallas is a large city that's out by you, right? They already have certain resources available to them in the engineering space that they probably already have some form of a pavement management process and program. Now, of course, that does not mean through my efforts and trying to become the attractive character in my space, if the city of Dallas calls me, I'm saying no.
Right.
But that's not my initial effort. So what I do is I go around. I take a look at all the suburbs, if you will. Who has a decent tax base? Who is already showing signs of preventive maintenance? Because if you're already doing preventive maintenance, it shows you're trying to do a little bit better. So how do we quantify that for you and maximize that for you, right? Yeah. Who is a city that maybe has a public works director or a public services director, maybe a city engineer, but they're already outsourcing professional services, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it took me a while to kind of look for those types of things. And those are my ideal clients now and today. And then just kind of working through the process to kind of grow that pie. So.
Right. No, that's awesome, man. That's really powerful too, because it really shows that, one of the things that I hear a lot too is like, oh man, but we're a different industry and all this kind of stuff. But this is just a proof that the same principles, that you have learned through coaching, I have learned through coaching and our network and all that stuff, like the same principles apply no matter, regardless of the industry that you're in, like success leave clues. And that's one of the reasons why I bring people like you and from different industries to this show. That, part of the audience for this show is the craft beer industry, but I'm trying to put the resources here. So, listen, this guy is making this in the payment industry. We probably can implement this in our brewery right now, and try to figure out how to attract more people. So it is powerful that you're sharing this, because it's just more proof of like, you can learn from others, and which is take me to my next question, man, because coaching, mentoring, that is so important, especially in 2020, man. And there's a lot of people that feel like, I don't need to be in a network. I don't need to take courses and all that kind of stuff. But from all your success at this point with your company, man, how much you attribute to having coaches part of your success?
Almost all of it. And I'll tell you right now, the day, like what you were just describing, maybe a bullheaded type of individual says, oh, maybe this isn't going to work for my industry. My industry, dude, this is about as niche as it gets. You talk about like the Facebook world, social selling. I had the wrong mindset 7-8 years ago. You know what I mean? No, your business, I do it differently. My client is government. I'm in business to government, right? I had all of those, I'll call them excuses back then. But let me tell you something, man. As soon as I started going down the road of personal development, listening to podcasts, listening to other business owners who had a lot more success than me, and so on and so forth, what happens? It's putting you in your mindset into that position to learn, right? Whether I pick up 3-4 words, keywords, 3-4 key sentences in a book, it doesn't matter. So that started my journey there, right? It wasn't go hire a coach day one. I was that guy 7-8 years ago, like, fuck, I hired a coach, right? Matter of fact, to be honest with you, I honestly didn't know much about that space because I was just out. I was not on Facebook or LinkedIn or going to conferences or events unless they were within my industry.
Right.
I had to realize I had to step outside of my comfort zone, man. You know what I mean? And that took a good mentor. That took a mentor that was a lot older than me in engineering that said, hey, have you considered these things? No, I have not. Go try these things. One of them, I'm not going to shit you here, man. You've heard of The Secret, right?
Yeah.
Visualize and manifest. And well, I'm not going to say I'm all in on the secret side of all this. I do believe in like the vision boarding and like putting those positive thoughts and manifesting some of those things. Not as simple as The Secret gets, but let me tell you something. That's where it all started. I had that mentor hand me a book one day and said, read this. And I was like, this is full of shit, man. Come on. But you know what? Just being an open mind, I had respect for the person who gave it to me to say, I'll check it out. And the rest is kind of history, man. I really opened up my door to that. And now that I'm getting into here, I just hired my first one-on-one coach for the first time ever. Wow. And already in 30 days, 4 sessions, I'm already more productive. I have a schedule to live by. And I'm getting goosebumps. You can't see them. I'm actually really excited about that because I feel like I've done what I can on my own. Yeah. Through group has been phenomenal to me. I think that's like the gateway. Get into the group of like-minded people. Find those 2, 3, 4 to 10 or whatever that you know, like yourself, man. That's how we connected. Yeah. I never would have met you and vice versa had we not been open to the group. Yeah, totally. And then it's getting to a point now that I've been doing this for a while. It's okay. It's time for James to figure out how to have impact on others and grow that effort, because that's always kind of been my goal. Is to kind of exit this business world in the next 3 to 5 and start setting up for the next round of my life, the next chapter.
Yeah, and I think 2020 has been like the perfect opportunity for people to start getting involved in groups like this. Because we are in a point in time when all this bullshit started. A lot of industries, let's keep using the craft beer industry as an example. They got to a point where like the only option they had was to leverage social media. And I have conversation with people telling me, dude, we are in the hospitality business. We cannot sell beer online. We need people walking into our tap rooms and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, I totally understand. But right now, this is the only chance you have, So many industries have to move to that. Like, okay, this is the only option we have. We have social media. And I'm sure that there's plenty of industries right now trying to figure this out. Like, I feel like so many industries are like the real estate industry 10 years ago. Like everybody was like, nah, you cannot leverage leads on social media. That's for my friends and family, right? But now every single real estate agent uses social media.
It's the best platform. It really is. I sold my house on social media all by myself without even knowing I was going to sell my house, to be honest with you. That's the 2020 has been. I went from living in a house to I'm in a rental and building one as we speak, just like boom, done. But that's a whole other story. But you're so right, man. It's having that ability to, look, this question gets asked from time to time, right? What is the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur? I mean, that's a tough one, for a lot of people. You see a lot of folks out there like, I'm an entrepreneur. It's a sexy word. It's fucking French, for God's sakes, right? It's just too overhyped and overplayed. I don't take any credit in either one of those types of things. But for me, it's all about, do you have the ability, right, to think differently in your own specific niche and industry that you're at? What are you able to do to move that needle forward to get to a scale model? You know what I mean? Right. And this is a great example. Pivot is one of my favorite words. I think 2020 was the year of pivoting for so many people that had success. For those that didn't, that wanted to whine and cry about why me, why this. I have a restaurant. Now, I am not going to, hit hard. This industry is hit so hard. I'm doing my part in my local community to trust me. There's my local spots I want to see stay open. I'm doing what I can. But part of that for me was, I'm also on the board of my local chamber of commerce. Okay. And through that, we created a specific small business council in our local community, which I thought was really cool. And we did a lot of Zoom interactions where like business owners like me can kind of come on there and say, ask questions, man. James, I run a brewery. This is huge. You can look it up here and I won't do it publicly, right? They just opened up in 2019, late 2019. Here we are, early 2020, pandemic. This sucks, right? Yeah. Luckily, they had a little bit of a burn rate to kind of keep them open and going. But the bottom line was they were struggling. And I said, look, man, you just have to find a way. What are the other breweries not doing in our local community? And I gave out some examples. I'm like, host a Zoom happy hour, right? Go grab yourself a band, because they would normally start in the spring to do live music. I'm like, those people are struggling to find venues. Go throw them on a Zoom and play some music, right? Yeah. Just be different. Gain traction, figure out how to And the rest is history, man. They were able to kind of move through that a little bit. They took some of these ideas, some from others, made a little bit of a pivot, kept the doors open and keep moving. But geez, man, I don't want to get into the pandemic stuff too much, but my Lord, if this keeps going down, I mean, we're going to see a lot more from that industry, unfortunately, continue to struggle. But
Yeah, man, and a lot of other people. But I think,
yes,
like you were saying, like what we were talking about the mentor and having a group of people. I think the people who are being successful right now or getting through this season in a better way is the people who have that support. Because like how can I think one of the biggest mistakes we do as an entrepreneurs and business owners, man, is that we forget that we have to consistently keep learning. Because things change. Nobody's telling us how to do or like we are on our own on this stuff. And if you're not surrounded with the right people who's constantly teaching you new ideas or talking about new ideas, or hey, guys, I tried this and actually worked, and then take that idea and implement it in your business to see how it works in your business as well. But I think everything comes to the mindset and trying to be open-minded as well.
absolutely. I couldn't have said that any better. It's having that ability again to take a look in the mirror, put that accountability on yourself, not anybody else, and say, you know what, if I'm not getting the job done, what do I need to be doing? Maybe there's another industry. Like me, like I look at all these other industries. Unfortunately or fortunately, I say fortunately, there is no pavement management consulting firm business model for James to open up the playbook to and go right to page 26 and say, oh, I'll do that. Right? There isn't.
Right.
Now, if I was in the brewing industry, all I got to do if I really want to study is who is doing it right, who is making traction, whose sales are consistent and up in this type of time. Let me figure out ways to work with them or fight through it. Whatever it is, you get the idea. I'm out here on an island half the time, but the reality is I'm not, because I joined groups, I've gained mentorship, I've hired coaches, so I can learn from all different types of industries and say, you know what if I try implementing this? What if I try implementing that? A great example, like you mentioned the BFA headquarters not too long ago, right? Great Free Academy. We share Apex in common. That's a group I came into. There's no business to government people in there predominantly, or engineers or stuff like that. And that's okay. Like, I don't need to go just to an engineering group somewhere to learn things. I was able to come in here. I was able to adapt to some of the teachings, take them for my own, and implement them. Like Facebook, great example. A great opportunity for social selling and being the attractive character. Facebook is not where my avatar, my audience lives, right? But they are on LinkedIn. So let me figure out how I can repurpose these concepts or these materials in my own way, from my industry, from my network, and make it work. And I've done that. I'm now getting sales from LinkedIn for something as niche as pavement management consulting programs. So it all works. You just got to be open to it. You're right.
Man, that's awesome, because again, I think he's a great example for somebody else out there trying to make excuses like, oh, I cannot use social media for my business. Like, yes, you can. Like, this guy has a payment company and he's making sales on LinkedIn. So don't tell me that you cannot sell beer online or any other service or products that you have. Like, we generate for our real estate business, man. We generate leads only on social media. We don't cold call nobody. I don't waste time on that. Like, everything comes through the funnels and everything is automated. I'm have plenty of time now to even develop myself in new stuff and learn other things, But
that's right.
Yeah, man, that's really powerful, man, because I think people still at this point still very skeptical about the internet and the power of social media and all this kind of stuff. But like you said, it's important to figure out where your people is, where they're hanging out, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Instagram, if it's Facebook, whatever it is, and repurpose the strategies and techniques that you can learn from people who's doing productive things in other industries. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In this day and age, there's a social platform for anyone. There just is. There's no excuse. There is a platform. There's an audience for everybody. It's what are you going to do with it, right? And if you can't figure it out yourself, then go seek help. Go find that digital agency. Go find that marketing individual. Go find that mentor. Go find that coach who specializes, right? Yeah. It's so worth it. I mean, imagine if you can pay $2,500 for the right information at the right time, the right advice, and implement that. Imagine what that could do for you in terms of an ROI, return on investment. And sometimes we get too closed-minded and say, well, it's like that hoarding mentality, especially in the pandemic. And I get that, like, man, I'm running on thin margins. I mean, I don't have the 2,500. Well, and coaching is a personal thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to recommend somebody. I mean, it's easy to recommend somebody, but is it the right fit? So the only thing that I would say is, if for anyone that's looking to go down that road of really hiring, like the coaching perspective, you want to make sure it's creating that win-win. They're a good fit for you and vice versa. You want to be a good client for them, and you want to be a good coach for you.
Yeah, and I think that also open opportunities when you get involved in groups like this, because then you can go and actually teach that to others, or even start coaching others. And I believe, I always said this, man, like us as entrepreneurs, or if you're a business owner, whatever, I think we have that moral obligation to, like, if you learn something that has been helping you and making you successful in your business, I think we have the moral obligation to share that. This is one of the reasons why I started the marketing for breweries, so I could share everything that I learned from Break Free Academy and all the people that I follow, and that they're my mentors too, and implement it in these industries so people can be successful, which is something that you're doing right now, huh? You're starting with your coaching stuff, and
Yeah, this is
talk
something.
to us a little bit about it, man.
Sure, absolutely, man. I'm excited about it. Excuse me. It's something brand new for me. The last thing I want to do is just kind of jump on here and say, hey, what's up, everybody? I'm a coach. Let's hire me. I'm a change in the world, right? I needed to
Right.
do this a little slowly but surely. I have a business I'm running. I have an empire I'm still working to create. At the same time, I've been doing this damn thing for 22 years. And again, the power of the network, the power of your mentors or your coaches really helped to frame it up for James. Nice and perfect, man. I call myself the ADDpreneur, dude. Like, I have all these thoughts and ideas, right? I'm either all in or I'm all out. I'm just one of them dudes. I'm a high performer at the same time, man. I really only like to do what I like to do. So I had to learn to delegate. I had to learn to go all in on the opportunity, or the tasks that I like to do and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So this is new for me, and I'm really excited. I'll be launching my program, very shortly. The Goalden Collective, Goalden with an A. I'll tip this thing up, man. I kind of made this shit for myself. You see that up there?
That looks nice. I like
Right,
it.
dude. I made that 2 years ago. Right?
Nice.
We all talk about taking action, and and no excuses. And sometimes the action takes a little longer to get there, but you get there, right? So I'm excited to start implementing that. Basically it'll be a group format, group setting for exactly what you mentioned, man. Networking, mentoring, a little bit of coaching. The collective is like-minded individuals, all
Right.
goal-oriented, right? At the same time, from a mentor perspective, I headhunted kind of a handful of individuals to kind of help the effort along, right? That
Right.
way it's not just James and his bald head out here. You may see this thing shining, right? Just spitting truth day one. I wanted to make it more of a low ticket opportunity to kind of get started, start putting up my roots and learn from it, right?
Right.
More like a beta group. But that's what it's all about, is taking action and getting started. And I've put this on the back burner way too long. There was days where I thought I'd be cheating on my business if I spent an hour doing this. And I will tell you, like, getting back to that coaching thing, when you hire the right person to say, James, you can have your cake and eat it too, but you got to structure it, bro. You got to schedule it all out and give yourself the ample opportunities here and here to do it. It's like the whole world opened up to me. And
Yeah.
sometimes as business owners or high performers or entrepreneurs, we kind of have that know-it-all. We all
Yeah.
have it. Maybe
Yeah,
the
that's true.
ego creeps in a little bit. This is a great way to get put in check. Like, I'm a people pleaser, so like coaching is perfect for me. I'm gonna go please. You put me on the path, I'm gonna take care of it.
That's
So
awesome, man. Yeah, but what you're saying is completely right, man, because yeah, I think I get caught up in that stuff sometimes. Sometimes it's like I need some time off too. Like I need to let my brain just to take a break and just relax. Like actually today, it's like I woke up at 5:20 this morning. It's like I'm really, really exhausted. I was ready to go to the gym, and it's like, but I wasn't. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses. I wanted to go, but my body was telling me, dude, calm down. You need to take it easy because you're not ready. I start feeling like I'm gonna puke if I go to work today. So I was like, I stay here, relax, and now feel better. I'm gonna go work out later tonight. So
I love what you just said. I think that kind of comes back to that audit word I was
yeah,
using, right? We all have those days. We are absolutely that FYE mentality. F your excuses. We live it every
yeah,
day. But we're not immune to the force of average. We're not immune to a lot of these things that come at us every day. And what's difficult sometimes is towing the line between, is this an excuse or is this a legitimate, not the force of average, but my body in this instance telling me, take a time out, brother, take a time out. You need a time out,
Yeah.
find a new spot and reallocate your time here when you're feeling better or whatever it is. And I struggle with that. I'm not going to lie to you. There's days where, at least previously, now I'm very confident in making those decisions because I've proven that I can do it. But
Yeah.
go back a few years, my body said, hey, man, you're not going to do it. Don't get up and do it today. Okay. But I use it as an excuse, not as a trigger to say, get some rest. So I would take 2-3 days off, right?
Right.
Day 1 became day 2, then day 3. Next thing you know, I'm fat and happy on a couch after a year. 2018, that's just the reality of it, man. 200
Yeah.
pounds,
Wow.
know? So I love what you just said, though. It's like recognizing, especially when we talk about exercise and health and wellness, is recognizing when you're not feeling up to it to go give your best.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I CrossFit 5 days a week, man, and I've made that commitment to myself. But there are days, my time slot's 7 a.m. There's days I roll out of bed, just like you said, at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, man, I ain't doing this now. Not happening. Go to that, hit the cancel button. I go to the afternoon classes. Who's open? 4, 5, 6, 7. Go look at my calendar. Okay, I'm gonna hit that spot. I'll be in at 5 today.
Right.
And then I'll probably go scale the workout, right? Get it done. That way I still feel good. I can go do it the next day. You get the idea.
Yeah, totally, man. That's exactly what I did today. As I know, I mean, like, especially that I've been doing CrossFit 5 days a week, and I've been doing combat sports 4 times a week. So there's days that I'm like, how in the fuck I survive this every single day?
Man, I know it's crazy, but I mean, and it's always separation season, man. It's doing the hard things. What I love about the stuff that you're doing, the stuff that I do, is when you tackle a task like that every day that's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, do you not feel a sense of accomplishment when you're done?
Oh, yeah.
And it's 7 a.m. or it's 8 a.m. Like, well, shit, the rest of the day just got easy, right? Because at this point, it's like, I don't really care what comes after me. I PR'd my back squat today. I PR'd my deadlift, and I PR'd my 50 freaking burpees for time today, right? I didn't like that one, but I get it done. So you're feeling good about it, and then the rest of the day is just going to be a little bit easier, in my opinion, because you've done something hard already, something that required grit, something that required mental toughness. And nothing against like hitting up the gym and playing the fitness and getting your workout done. I'm not here to compare whose workout's tougher. It doesn't matter. You're getting up and you're doing something that the average person doesn't want to do.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, and just the consistency, but I think that's one of the things that I struggle the most when I have those days where I decide to, what, I need to sleep like an extra 2 hours today, and then I feel bad with myself, but then I remind myself, like, you've been doing well. Like you also need to know your limits and know that there's times that you need to like recover, and then so you can able to be moving forward. And I think that's applied to what you just mentioned too, also about delegating and not be afraid of like giving part of your work to somebody else so you can grow and you can expand. And that applies in any area, not only in business.
100%. So, spot on with that one.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for sharing and being here. Talk to us a little about your book, man. This is exciting. I know you just became a best-selling author. So if somebody watching this or listening this in the future wants to get your book, man, like, guys, he just became a best-selling author. That's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Dude, thank you so much, man. This just happened Friday, right? So we did a little bit of a book launch on Thursday, went through the process, and it was really cool to wake up Friday morning, seeing that the bestseller tag was there. Let me tell you something that was really cool to see too. This is for what it's worth. We became bestseller in the entrepreneurship category, the small business category, and 7 others. More importantly, the transportation category, which is my house right there, right?
That's
Never in a
awesome.
million years would I thought I would help contribute to a book, and I'll tell you about it in a second, and be number 1 in the transportation space, and it had nothing to do with pavement management. So kind of cool, but the bottom line is I had an opportunity to contribute an entire chapter. It's about 160 pages in total with 6 other entrepreneur dads, and the book is called $1 Million Dads. And the premise of it is not how to be rich and famous and jump on yachts and helicopters, right? It's about hardworking dads who develop businesses that earn around seven figures or more in revenue. And then kind of that whole work-life balance concept that we always hear about,
Yeah.
the reality is that's kind of a myth. There's no balance in terms of 50-50. So you get to hear 7 different stories from 7 different guys just like myself who have figured out a lot of these things, but they're still working every day to become the most elite version of themselves while managing a family and kids
Right.
and all those different things, man. It's probably why I'm bald and I've got white hairs. I got 5 kids, guys. I got 2 stepdaughters. I got 3 kids of my own. I'm on round 2 of my marriage. It's been a wild ride, but you live and learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a great opportunity to tell my good to golden story is what I call it in a chapter. It's 99 cents right now is the ebook. The paperback just dropped, but man, for all your viewers, just hit me up, man. I'll throw out some paperbacks, no questions asked, man.
That's awesome. And I already have my copy, so I already contributed. I
That's
gotta
awesome.
read it.
Thank you for that.
I don't have any kids, but I might as well read that right now so I can be prepared in the future
Hey,
when I decide to have
in
kids.
the future, and I think it's a great that you just brought this up. It's not just for fathers, right? There's a big emphasis on family, but in my opinion, I mean, I learned a lot from the other authors, reading their stories, just like, it had nothing to do with kids in some of that, perspective.
Right.
So I think it's just a great book for anybody out there, especially if you're looking to get to that 7-figure mark in business and revenue or beyond, and just kind of see what some others have done to get there.
Totally, man. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we've been talking about this time, how important it is to learn from others too. But thanks for sharing, man. We've been here almost an hour, so I think we should start wrapping this up. I know you are a super busy person. We both have stuff to do, but I've been enjoying this time with you, man. I think you really share very valuable information, and I really love all that insight of how you have developed yourself in an industry that even not many people knows about it, So I think that's a great example for many people who listen to this podcast of, like, doesn't matter what industry you are, doesn't matter what are your products or services, you can always be successful, but you have to do the work and change your mentality, So, but before we close, man, where people can find you, and just give us one last piece of advice before we put this in the books.
Dude, I love it, man. First of all, I appreciate you so much for having me on here. The time has been well spent, bro. I really, really enjoyed myself. I love the content you're putting out in your podcast. It's top notch, man. Keep doing it.
Thanks, man.
I did catch an episode, I think it was with Ryan Stewman the other day, and he made a great point. The average podcaster only puts out maybe 4, 5, 6 episodes. You're on 37. So congratulations to you, man. Keep it going.
Thank you so much.
A little bit on the advice side, like my tagline, you can tell, speaking of all those kids, if you ask any one of them, they'd say, "Oh, dream big, work hard, become legendary." Like it's been just ingrained in their brains at this point. And the whole concept to that is, obviously be willing to outwork anybody in the room at any given time. Dream big, man. You got to have big goals, right?
Right.
You got to outthink. You got to stay outside of that comfort zone. For me, become legendary. Absolutely a play on my boy Michael Jordan. That's one of my all-time. He's definitely the GOAT in my opinion. That's always up for debate, but you're not going to get any kickback. Keep your head. I got them all. But the bottom line is, become legendary. For me, is all about that legacy. So if we're dreaming big, what do we got to do to achieve that, right? And why are we working for it? Why? Legacy. So some things to kind of keep in mind there: dream big, work hard, become legendary. You can find me, I'm out there on Facebook, James Goalden the third, the 3 eyes. I am the third. On Instagram, it's James Goalden, but just make sure you throw that A in there,
Right.
Golden Boy right there. And that's pretty much about it, man. I'm on LinkedIn as James Goalden the third as well. For anyone out there looking to develop more of a professional platform, holler at me. I'm here to help optimize profiles. That's my sweet spot in there. And that's about it, man. I've got the Good to Golden podcast as well. I've hit pause on that. I've surpassed, I think, 40 some episodes. I'm kind of in the reboot with the Golden Collective coming into that, so you'll see that coming back online as well.
Can't wait, man. That's gonna be awesome. Sure, you're gonna bring a lot of great content in. But anyway, man, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time and being part of my project too. I think you and like any other else in our network have been a great inspiration, especially during this year. With that transition when I moved to Dallas exactly a year ago, man. It's gonna be in a couple of days. It's gonna be a year since I landed in Dallas, and it's been a great year, man. Like so much transformation. Like I'm just grateful, man. I'm grateful that I can have people like you in my show, and not only my show but also in my life. And I really appreciate you, brother. And
I appreciate you too, man. You're the man. You keep doing your thing. You're inspiring a lot of other people outside of your industry. we're watching what you're doing, man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great Thanksgiving with your family. And for you guys listening, if you enjoy the show, make sure you share it with somebody, put it on social media, or whatever you can do to help me spread the word so more people can find the show and get access to all this valuable information. In the meantime, I hope you guys be safe, keep working hard, and cheers. Later, brother.
See ya, bro.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. This show was brought to you by the Marketing Brewing Company, an industry-leading marketing provider and coaching firm. If this episode have provided with valuable information for you and your business, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you know somebody who needs to hear this, share it with them. Send me a text message, a DM, put it on social media, whatever you can do to spread the word. And lastly, if you're a brewery owner ready to take your business to the next level, make sure you head to marketingbrewingco.com and fill out the form to get started and get your free assessment of your current marketing and sales strategies. I will see you guys for the next episode. In the meantime, cheers.